Hello, and welcome to solo cast. I feel so old saying solo cast. Solo episode of How Are We to Live. I have been journaling for the past 3 hours, and usually it makes me feel more clarity. But for some reason, I've just been going in circles, and my mind is boggled. So I thought I'd come and record. Hopefully, recording something makes more sense. So, what to talk about? That is the question. Well, what's on your mind, Bella? Everything and nothing, somehow. Somehow everything and nothing. Usually how it is anyway. I guess where I want to start is social media. Social media. That future Bella popping in quickly. That was intense. Sorry about that. Sorry for the profanity. I'm just very passionate about this topic. I also feel like this should be something that I talk about with someone else. Someone that won't let me spiral into my own little world with it all. Like an expert on it, because this is all just my personal experience, which there's 8 billion different ways of experiencing everything. So take what I say with a grain of salt. So maybe not. The other thing I was thinking about was I had this thought when I was at the farm. I was sitting in the grass with the goats, and I looked down in the grass, and there's a little ladybug just chilling, climbing up these blades of grass. I'm like, wow. And I look to my left, and there's this other little random bug. I have no idea what this bug was. Just living his life. And I'm like, okay, we've got a whole, it's diverse. It's a diverse grass section. And then right in front of me, a snail on another blade of grass. And I'm like, wow. And I was just looking at these 3 different little buggles. Well, a snail isn't really a bug, but you know what I mean. These 3 little creatures. And I'm like, they're all so different. It's just kind of weird to look at different creatures, like including humans. Like we also are weird. Just like looking, like we're just weird to look at. Like everything. It's so cool and unique. And I'm like, how does this exist? Who came up with this? So I was looking at the snail, and I forced him to hang out with me for a bit, and I was holding him, and I was just looking at this snail for ages, probably talking to him, being insane. Nothing new. And I was thinking, I was like, does this snail know he's a snail? And beyond that, does he care that he's a snail? Is he happy that he's a snail? Does he look at these other bugs and be like, damn, I actually didn't compare him to the other bugs. I was like, I wonder if this snail knows cheetahs. Well, I don't know. But I wonder if this snail knows animals like cheetahs exist. And if anyone wasn't sure, there isn't cheetahs in Brisbane, Australia. Oh, I was in New South Wales, in Sydney, Australia. So I doubt this snail knew that cheetahs existed. And I was also thinking, like, how do these little things, like there was so many little creatures in 1 meter of grass. I'm like, imagine how many other living things are within this whole field, and how many what came to my mind was, imagine how many I've trampled on the way in here. And they were just living their lives, and all of a sudden, just like that, it's just over. I'm like, oh, like, how do they survive anything? I don't know how any of these little creatures live. Like, how do any of them make it out alive? So yes, back to the snail. What if a snail happened to know that cheetahs existed, and it started comparing itself to the cheetah? No, okay, this is a better way to put it. Picture this. Mama snail, daddy snail have their baby snail. Or snails. I don't know how many snails give birth to at once. Anyways, there's only one baby snail. Mum has a baby snail, and for some reason, for some reason, the parent snails, once the baby is born, the taxes are getting too high, interest rates are increasing, and they suddenly now realize they can no longer afford rent if they keep this child. So, what do? These snails have heard that the cheetahs are rich. They have no worries. But in this What am I even saying? Okay. But the snails heard that the local cheetahs have multiple investment properties and they only buy assets. They don't buy things that diminish in value. So they know that the cheetahs can afford to live in this economy, will be able to support themselves and children. So, what do the snails do? The only logical thing that poor snails can do in this circumstance, which is leave their baby on the cheetah's doorstep, right out front, in a little basket, a blanket over it, with a note on top that says, please take care of me. What are the snails left to do? The snails realize, oh, if we knock on the door, we can't knock and run. We're snails. We can't run. We slug slowly. And to top it off, this is a cheetah's door, so even if we do make some ground, it's a cheetah. We didn't think about this far enough ahead. So they have to just snail away and hope for the best that the cheetahs come out sometime soon. So anyways, we were very fortunate in this situation. No baby snails were left out for too long, and the cheetahs come out very soon later to find the baby snail. So, fast forwarding years to when the baby snail gains consciousness. I'm not sure what age snails become aware of their existence, but we're fast forwarding to that time. Snail is aware of existence, and she's only grown up with maybe we should give her a name. I was going to say Sally the Snail, but that was way too obvious. Sully the Snail. Sully is better. Oh no, but I've already put she in my head. Has to be Sally. Sally the Snail. Okay, Sally the Snail. Surrounded by cheetahs. She's grown up with them since birth, pretty much, so it's normal. But she started gaining consciousness and she started realizing that she's not like everyone around her. She doesn't look like a cheetah, she doesn't move like a cheetah, she doesn't sound like a cheetah. In no way does Sally the Snail have anything in common with a cheetah. Sally the Snail is like, oh, why don't I have spots? Why can't I run? Why don't I have legs? Why can't I basically do any of the things that everyone around me can do? But she's grown up thinking that things like running fast or being able to hunt prey is a metric of success. But she doesn't enjoy doing those things. She likes to climb blades of grass. She doesn't express these thoughts to anyone. They're just in her mind. She just thinks, oh, well, there's obviously something wrong with me. I can't do these things. And everyone else around me does these things and looks like this. So obviously there's something wrong with me. So what does Sally do? She starts training. I don't know. Okay, Sally thinks she needs to be a cheetah, basically. And she tries her best to become a cheetah and do cheetah things. But obviously, no matter how hard she tries, she cannot be and do the things that cheetahs do. And anyway, no matter how good she gets at doing cheetah things, she doesn't like doing them. It doesn't make her feel good. But what if I told you, Sally the Snail, that there is nothing wrong with you for feeling more fulfilled by climbing blades of grass than hunting prey? You are not less than any of the cheetahs. You are just different. You have different strengths. You have different abilities. You have different... I'm going to have to Google what can snails do. Sorry, Sally. What do snails do? Okay, Sally, you don't have spots or fur. No, you can't run very fast, and you can't help keep prey populations in check. That's what Google told me cheetahs do. But you know what, Sally? You have a shell. You have a really cool hard shell. You also leave a fun little trail behind you everywhere you go. That's cool. And, Sally, did you know that you are a key player in the decomposition process? You help to recycle and circulate nutrients into and through the soil through burrowing, your feces, your dead body and shell. Sorry, Sally, I didn't read far enough ahead to get to that part, but that last part, that's But no, that's beautiful, Sally, because even when you're gone, even when your soul leaves your little snail body, you are making a positive impact and difference on the world around you. So, Sally, what I'm saying is, of course, you are going to feel less than or not good enough or incompetent when you're comparing yourself to a cheetah. But just because you don't enjoy doing the same things as the cheetahs around you, or you're not very good at it, doesn't mean you're less worthy than a cheetah. You are just as important as the cheetah. You are just different. And once you stop looking without and comparing yourself to others and start looking within and do things because they feel right to you and you enjoy them, rather than doing things because that's what everyone else around you is doing and what they think success means, life is going to make a lot more sense. So, before we wrap up Sally the Snail story, I just want to say it does end on a happy ending. Sally and her cheetah family talked. They were very supportive and helped Sally recognize her inherent worth and being, and showed her that her differences are what make her her. And when a cheetah goes into a snail colony, the cheetah is the one that's different. They took Sally to their local snail meetup. Don't know, man. No, the cheetahs got in contact. The cheetahs, so they did an ancestry DNA test, and turns out Sally's parents had also done an ancestry DNA test. So they were able to get in. The cheetahs helped Sally get in contact with her biological parents, and they are now in Sally's life as well. The cheetahs and the snails, just one big happy family, two unlikely friends, now living in harmony, reminding each other that even though they look different, they spend their time differently, they have different strengths, they are all the same at the end of the day, on the inside. When it comes down to it, they are all the same. We will all end up dead. Just like Sally, circulating nutrients into the soil. No, but even though at our core, we are all the same, we are all one, while we're here on this earth, we are separated. We are different, we are unique, and that's beautiful. Because as Ed Milet says, I don't know if he coined it, but diversity is the path to richness. And that's just in every facet of life, really. And that's sort of what this podcast is about. Talking to people from all different walks of life on how they are doing this life thing to help us get a more holistic view of the world so we can make more informed decisions for ourselves and the world around us, and to show us what's truly possible for our own lives, that there's no one set right way of being, and that if life sort of feels confusing or purposeless right now, seeing all these different ways to live inspires us to not settle and go find out for ourselves what makes us feel fulfilled and find our own unique purpose. And just have faith and trust that as long as we're going out there and seeking and taking action, that it will all be okay, and in hindsight, all makes sense, hopefully. And through talking to people with vastly different perspectives, thoughts, values, beliefs, just ways of being, it helps us keep that sense of oneness and connectedness front of mind. That we are all a lot similar than we realize, and we are all connected through something bigger than ourselves, which will hopefully lead us to all feeling more compassion, kindness, and love for one another. Because personally, I think we are all just winging, well, to my understanding, we're all just winging this being human thing and doing the best to our knowledge. And when we can realize that just because someone does something that you really can't understand doesn't mean it's invalid or that they're wrong or that you're wrong, and their opinion isn't a personal attack on you, and it doesn't say anything about their worth or inherent being, because we are all products of our environment and our conditioning and programming. If we can be kind to everyone, no matter how insane their way of being may seem to you, if we just try and understand them deeply and connect with them. Because at the end of the day, through our differences and uniquenesses, that's what we all crave, connection. And we are all actually connected on a deeper level than we realize. But actually, we are all starting to realize this now more, that we are connected. But we have all also been raised and conditioned and programmed a certain way. So this isn't really an overnight thing. But I think if we're all trying our best to be as present and open-minded and extend our compassion and understanding to everyone as best and as often as we can, I think we're on the right track to a better world and a more fulfilling life for all of us. IMO, in my humble opinion. But the point of the story is that we humans need to stop comparing ourselves to other humans, even though we're the same species, which also makes things a bit harder because, yes, a snail and a cheetah are obviously very different. They also have more clearly defined roles in the world and the ecosystem. So it's a bit easier for them to find their way, find what makes them feel right, what's true to them. But for us humans, we have to do a bit more introspection. It's not such a given. Not so straightforward. Which is beautiful because it also means we have options. Well, if you're in a privileged position, it means you have options. And hopefully one day all us humans will be in such a privileged position to be able to create our own lives and do what feels truly right and true to our being, rather than just what we got to do to get by, or, all the shite that's going on in the world. Woo! Alas, I think I was having this in-depth snail tale in my mind because I found that I have been comparing myself and my life and what I do a lot to others. I was constantly feeling like trash because when I would do the things that I thought I needed to do to fit in and be successful and be loved, be worthy, something just felt wrong within me. I just felt off. Normal human tasks felt hard. And I'm like, what? Why can I not handle this life thing like everyone else? When I was doing the things that felt in alignment to my true self, I was still comparing myself to that external metric of success. And what I was doing didn't align with that. So even doing the things that made me feel truly happy and fulfilled came with some anguish because I felt like I was doing something wrong and not going to be worthy in the eyes of society. I felt like shite all the time. Never feeling like I was enough or doing enough, feeling bad about where and who I am. But through Sally the Snail, I was reminded that there is a multitude of ways to be in this life, and there's no one right way, just different. And mind you, this is an ongoing process. I haven't become a new overnight since having this revelation. But enjoying the ride, enjoying the journey. As they say, it's the journey, not the destination. So anyways, I realized that if I was putting people above me on a pedestal and deeming them as more important or worthy than me, for whatever reason, I realized that inevitably meant that even if it was unintentional, I was doing the inverse and deeming myself to be worth more than others. And I just don't think that, and that's not how I want to live. I don't want to be constantly having to prove my worth to myself and those around me, or thinking of anyone as less than me based on our differences and how we choose to live. Because when all the illusions of this reality are stripped back, we are equal. We are the same. And our different ways of being and living don't mean anything beyond different. Because like Sally and the cheetahs, we all have a unique part to play in the biosphere and beyond that, the universe. And whether your net worth is $1 billion or $1, whether you work out or don't, drink or don't, prioritize building a career or creating a family, there is a place for you in this world and in this life. A cheetah can run 120 kilometers an hour, and the max speed of a snail is 0.048 kilometers an hour. And one isn't inherently good or bad or better or worse. It's just our humanness that deems it as so. Objectively, if you look at a snail and a cheetah, there is no reason to value one more than the other. Because they are just different, man. A lion doesn't eat a gazelle because it thinks it's superior to it. It's because he's hungry. Like, man's got to eat. So as long as how you're living feels right to you, don't get caught up comparing how you live and your life as a cheetah to how a snail lives, because you will always feel like you're missing something or doing something wrong. We are all on our own unique journey and timelines. So if you haven't been allowing yourself to truly be you and express yourself authentically because you think it is wrong or less than, based on what you've been conditioned to believe, the truth is, there's no inherently better or right way of being. You are either a snail or a cheetah. You can't have one without the other, or the whole ecosystem will collapse. So just be you. Do you want to be responsible for the whole ecosystem collapsing? Didn't think so. Biodiversity is a key factor to the health of an ecosystem, so we need diversity of thought and ways of humaning to continue to flourish and grow as a collective. Can't have the yin without the yang. So, finally, this is my final plea for you to stop feeling bad for being you and doing what makes you happy and feel fulfilled just because those around you are doing things differently. Stop comparing yourself to all the other Homo sapiens out there because there's 8 billion and it's going to be a bloody jam-packed morning routine if you try and incorporate all their opinions. You don't need to prove your worth. Please realize you are inherently worthy as you are, no matter how productive you were today or how your life looks compared to those around you. One isn't better than the other, they are all just different. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this off-the-cuff episode. Thanks for spending some time with me. I truly appreciate it. And I'd especially love to hear your thoughts and feedback, or maybe something you took away from this episode, or your thoughts on this topic. I'm always keen for a friendly conversation and or debate. You can reach out on Instagram at howawe222, like the number, live. How are we 22 live? 222, wait. How are we 222 live on Instagram? I will link it all in the description anyway. Love you long time, and don't forget, the universal energy of love doesn't care whether you're a snail or a cheetah. That love is always there for you to tap into. Okay, peace out.